In this video, we will see how we can iterate through each element of an array. Here I have two arrays. One is a string array where each element is a string, and other is a matrix of 3 by 3. Here I have created an empty integer array of 3 by 3 and then assigned these values using this nested for loop. First, I will show you how we can iterate an array through a simple for loop, and then I will show you a more convenient way using a modified version of for loop. So our task is to print all the elements of array names, this array. We can see that it has 8 elements, so the index numbers are from 0 to 7. We will use a for loop to execute this task. A new variable I will be initialized, and the condition will be I should be less than 8 because total number of elements are 8 and the index range is 0 to 7. I will be incremented after each iteration, and then we will print the array element using the index I. We can see that the value of I will change after each iteration from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7. So after each iteration it will print a new value. Like in the first iteration it will print Chris, in the second it will print Nick, and in the last it will print John. Let's execute this program. The list has been printed here. One thing to notice here that in this situation we know that how many elements are available in this array, but sometimes we may not know the size of an array. In that case, we need to provide this number dynamically so that according to the size of the array, this numbers also changes. So we have a property in each array, that is length, which can be accessed by the dot operator. So here our array is names, then length. This will give us the size of the array. So let's print this and see. Eight, as you can see. And if I remove an element from this list, then exception index out of bound. Okay, as you can see that it will throw an error like this. So we can avoid this error if we put this expression here and then execute this. As you can see, there is no error now, and the list has been printed with 7 elements. Next, we need to print this matrix. So here we will have a nested loop. The first loop, int I is equal to 0. I should be less than mat because now our array is mat. Then length semicolon I plus plus. And inside this loop we will have another loop because it is a two-dimensional array and each element of this array is another array. So we need to put another for loop, and here I will set the index as j so it will not conflict with this index, and j should be less than. And here's one thing to notice here, that this will give us the value of 3 because the parent array has 3 elements and the child array also has 3 elements. So here we need to access the child array, that will be mat I, and then we will access the length and j++ for increment, and then print command. In this problem I will use another variant of print, and then mat I j, and I need to provide a space here, so I will provide a space like this. It will suffix a space after each value. One thing to notice here, that I am not using println command, I am using only print function. There is a difference between print and println, that the println also suffix a new line, but print does not. And after this loop I will use a print ln, so that we can have a new line after 3 elements are printed. So let's see how this works. So our matrix has been printed. As you can see that no new line is provided by this print function, and if we want to print all the elements in a sequence, then we can remove this and then print. You can see that all the elements are provided in this sequence, and if we provide println here, then the list will be printed vertically. As you can see that now each element has a new line. Next I want to show you a more convenient way to print arrays. We will start with our one-dimensional string array, and the syntax is for, and then we will create a temporary variable. So we know that each element of this array is a string, so we will create a string variable, let's say string I, and then colon, and then this array, and then we will print this element I here, string system dot out dot print ln I, then execute. As you can see, the list has been printed. So what is happening here, that after each iteration a new element I is created, and a new value from this array is assigned to this I variable. So after each iteration it prints a new value. For example, in this case the first value is assigned, that is Chris, to this I variable. In the next iteration Nick is assigned to this I variable, and so on. Similarly we can print the multi-dimensional arrays. So I will print this mat array here, and we know that each element is an integer here, but one thing to notice here, that it is a two-dimensional array. It means that each element of this array is another array. So here we need to provide int array I, and then mat, and inside this another for loop, and now inside this I element, each element is an integer which is not an array. So we just need to provide int j, and it will be in I, then system dot out dot print j we can provide a space here. Done. I want to explain this concept again. We see that this is our matrix and each element of this mat array is another array. This is our child array, this is our another child array, and this is our third child array. So when we are accessing a child array, then we know that it is also an array. So here, but it is a one-dimensional array, so that we can see that it is a one-dimensional array. So we need to initialize this variable as an array, and in the next loop we see that each element is just an integer value. So we do not need to provide this as an array, we need to provide this as an integer, and this integer is available in this array which was previously assigned to this I variable. So that's why we are accessing this j inside this I. And if you still don't understand this concept, just remember one thing, that after each for loop we need to decrease this square brackets. So if we have 4-dimensional array, then the first for loop will have 3 square brackets, and the second one will have 2, and the third one will have 1, and the last one will have no square brackets. So we just need to remember this, and the variables will switch from this like this, that the first will be our main array and the next one will be a temporary one, and the temporary one will shift here and the new temporary one will be initiated here, and if there is one more loop, then this will move like this for int k and j, and then this must be a 3-dimensional array, and this will look like this. So this is all for this section. In the next section we will see how a difference can be made by a break and continue statements in a for loop or while loop. So thank you.